expert and former military aviator. Now we move on to our next news. An Indian delegation has reached Washington to hold a fresh round of talks on the bilateral trade agreement. With the US, the talks are likely to focus on agriculture, automobiles, and tariffs. The four-day discussions are expected to shape a potential interim deal on tariffs. The trade talks are paramount. It is also important as the US has further postponed the imposition of additional tariffs on several countries, including India, until August 1st. Earlier this month, the Indian team was in Washington for talks with negotiations taking place from June 26 to July 2nd. The team has once again reached the US for negotiations now. India has hardened its position on the US demand for duty concessions and on agriculture and dairy products. India is now aiming for the following. It's seeking the removal of this additional 26% tariff. It is also seeking the easing of tariffs on steel and aluminum, which is over 50%, and now the 25% on auto sectors as well. Against these, India has reserved its right under the WTO norms to impose retaliatory duties. US President Donald Trump announced heavy tariffs on a number of countries, including India, on April 2nd. However, it was soon postponed for 90 days until July 9th, and later now to August 1st. Meanwhile, conundrum over a fair deal between United States and EU continue to intensify. While US has imposed a 30% tariff on EU still hopes to strike a deal with the United States, delaying countermeasures. Now we're joined by John Rosomando. He's the president of Viking Research Associates and a geopolitical analyst, joining us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you, John, for joining us today. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. From a geopolitical perspective, how might the outcome of these second India-US trade talk impact broader strategic relations between these two countries?
Well, the United States and India have had a mixed relationship in recent years. The Biden administration wanted to work with better relations with China, and the Indians felt pushed to the back. It's going to be a rather difficult time for the U.S. and India, because the U.S. needs India against China, but at the same time, President Trump's desire to impose these tariffs has strained relations. So I think that it's a very difficult situation for both countries right now.
John, how do tariff disputes like these reflect the current trends in global trade policies and protectionism?
Well, the rise of populism in Western countries, has brought about the desire to bring about tariffs. There's a strong sense in the United States that we've allowed our industrial base to be whittled away by going to countries like India, China, places in Southeast Asia, and there's a need to protect American goods and American industry by imposing these tariffs.
And John, building on that, in your analysis, what are the potential implications for regional economic stability if these trade negotiations between India and the US face prolonged challenges?
Well, if they face prolonged challenges, it could result in India looking for other markets outside of the U.S. and to whether it's like Europe or the Middle East or other places in Asia. It I think you could see a sort of rebalancing of trade priorities.
And thank you. And how has the U.S. timeline for imposing additional tariffs on India and other countries evolved recently?
Well, I think that the president has looked to countries like Argentina and with whom President Trump has a strong relation with the president of Malay there and has agreed to reduce tariffs. But I think that the president really wants to use this to open the rest of the world to American goods and products that he believes are not getting a fair shrift in the global market.
And is there any sector that maybe, or any upper hand or some cards that India can play out for these trade negotiations?
Well, I think that if India were to agree to allow more American goods into the Indian market, I think that would be seen as a positive step by President Trump and his team.
Yes, and what are the key sectors under this discussion in the current India-US? What are the key sections in this current bilateral trade talks?
The current trade talks, agricultural goods, the industrial, and other.
Thank you very much, John, for joining us today and sharing that insight. Now we move on to our next news. Ukrainian President